Catus Maximus here, this time with a review of one of the Craftsman USA I-beam ratchets. This happens to be a long handle half-inch version. That's a pretty good example, as well as being one of the more expensive ratchets they had on the shelves. I've done quite a few ratchet reviews and ratchet comparisons, and I have a couple of these, but these were never really my favorite. But a lot of people have specifically asked what I thought of these, because these in the 90s and the early 2000s, I'm not exactly sure how long Craftsman had been making these I-beam ratchets, but it was for a long time. They're more budget models, I should say, because at least in the 2000s, they did have more expensive, nicer kind of chrome-plated type ratchets. But these were always kind of the go-to, because at least with the reputation and when Sears was still in business, basically, these were a pretty reliable ratchet. They didn't have the best fit and finish, as we can see. It's pretty coarse, pretty sharp edges, just a rough sanding, not particularly heavy chrome plating. They were quick release, but they were pretty good. And I think this was on the shelf was around 50 or 60 bucks, which is kind of funny because Harbor Freight's kind of, in some ways, become what the Sears Craftsman was, where you go buy tools, and if you have one that breaks, you can just take it into the store and they give you another one. They're about the same price. The only difference now is they're Taiwanese instead of being American made. And, you get a nice chrome plating, 90-tooth ratchet mechanism, etc. Although the flex head icons aren't as good as the straight heads. I did like the fact that this did have indexing. It is not locking, it's just a ball detent, but it only happens to be a couple positions. Any of the other positions, and it just kind of flexes freely, and I kind of would have appreciated them putting another notch in there. Anyway, these weren't known as having the tightest of anvils out there. A little bit of play, but they were okay. They do break. I've certainly seen a few of these that were broken when you really put a lot of strain on them. Usually using cheater bars or standing on them, jumping up and down, trying to use your half-inch ratchet. Or the similar style breaker bar, which was the same exact handle. It just had a half-inch square in the end. They tend to break. I've seen a few broken squares, but I've even seen a couple of these where this whole eyelet actually just broke off, which is kind of surprising. But it was a Craftsman. You just go in and they give you another one. And they were kind of made, I think Sears really did target these pretty well. They're kind of like the old school I-beam Williams ratchets. I don't even know I don't know if it was Williams who did make them. You can look up the part numbers on Craftsman tools. And on the web there is a site where it breaks down. See, Sears wasn't a manufacturer. They were just like Harbor Freight, where they would buy tools from other manufacturers, lots of them domestic in the Sears era, and then would have them simply rebranded. So there's a table which will tell you exactly who made what. So these are still really common at just about every pawn shop has one of these style ratchets. Maybe not a half-inch flex head, but these I-beam style Craftsman ratchets. They show up all the time at like Habitats for Humanities and thrift stores. These things are still incredibly common. And so if you can get them for a pretty good price, I paid $29 for this one used, and it was probably a little expensive, but it is in really nice shape. And this would be just as a general good junkyard ratchet. The heads are smaller on more modern ratchets, as we can see here, at least slightly smaller in diameter. Maybe if I put it that way, it would be more obvious. There we go. So a little bit more compact. And the quick release was just a big thing, but a lot of ratchets now are going back to, thankfully, solid anvils. And that's just because the quick release usually has a hole drilled all the way through the anvil, and that removes just a little bit of material. On the Craftsmans, they don't drill it all the way through, but there's still obviously a hole through the center of the anvil for the little quick release button to work. I never really realized this, but the quick release button is plastic. It's not metal on these. So Craftsman's saving a few pennies there. And they have an interesting ratchet design. It has a snap ring holding in a plate, which is really common for gear wrench ratchets, except for the actual Ratchet Pawl is just a billet cam that fits in this cutout, like Williams or the early 36-tooth Duralast ratchets. And we know that because when we're running it, this has kind of the reverse levers would fall out of these too, and this one's getting a bit loose in there, but we can see as we ratchet, maybe the other way, kind of hard to tell, but the ratchet lever or the switching lever moves each time the ratchet pawl clicks, and that's how you know it's a cam type with just a direct drive versus ratchets like these where when you rotate the switch or when you're ratcheting them, the switch doesn't give any evidence that you're ratcheting just because there's a floating pawl and the switch is just like a spring-loaded mechanism that's sliding it back and forth. Probably a really wordy review, but it's worth it for one of these old American-made Craftsman ratchets. One thing I was going to also criticize a little bit is because they use this plastic plunger, I was noticing on this unit, if we can get it rotated correctly, that the ball is sinking in pretty deep. It still holds on to the socket, but the problem is as you put sockets on these and you're using it and they're beating against the ball, they're driving it into the plastic ever deeper until eventually the socket doesn't stay on. And that's always been kind of the issue with quick releases. If you have any poorly made ones or they wear out, eventually the tool basically becomes unusable because the socket just won't stay on, where just a traditional spring-loaded detent, even if it gets weak, will still be pretty reliable. Let's take a quick look inside here at the mechanism. At least it's nice and easy to get out. Keep your fingers over that snap ring so it doesn't escape from you. They really like to escape. And that's why you should wear safety glasses with snap rings, because, man, it really sucks when they hit you in the face, especially in the eye socket. So it's like a gear wrench. We have a really thin sheet metal plate. We have our Ratchet Pawl. This thing is coarse. I think this is a 36 tooth, but it was pretty reliable. And this is just a similar design to the Williams. You have the spring-loaded ball detent that activates on this wing right here, and so this just goes back and forth, and when you're ratcheting it just rocks it like that. And I've always liked this style just because it's really heavy duty. Instead of a ball instead of a pawl that's wedging between the anvil and the wall or the body of the ratchet, you have this where the forces are, let me put this back in here. Whoop. Here we are. So as we're ratcheting, when you're putting load onto it, transfers to the teeth, and it's actually trying to push the paw just flat against the other wall. And so this is a type of mechanism that would essentially never jam on you. Like Harbor Freight had issues with these floating pawl, the flex head ones, which had a smaller pawl in them, will actually get pinched and jammed because it's caught in a wedge, rather than this design where it's actually just trying to force it, out through the side of the ratchet itself. It's going against the flat surface, and so there's nothing to bind against. And so that was what was nice about these, is these could actually be pretty beat up, they could be pretty cruddy, and still actually give you some pretty reliable operation. I went ahead and popped that in there, and with the snap ring, you do have the reliability of not having any kind of fasteners that end up getting loose on you, or that you have to be real careful torquing down or stripping out. So initially, they weren't my favorite ratchets, but I think in light these days, given where, domestically made hand tools are really expensive, and there's just a lot of pretty stout, especially Taiwanese and all sorts of competition out there for hand tools, I think these, considering nowadays, aren't too bad. Maybe not the best, and what I'm not sure of is all these places like Lowe's selling Craftsman, if they are still honoring the warranty. I don't believe Craftsman went bankrupt, and all their warranties, that was a consumer contract. When you advertise on the packaging of a product that it has satisfaction, that was the deal with Craftsman. It wasn't, materials and workmanship. If you just weren't satisfied, you can return or exchange it, or at least exchange it. And to my knowledge, the actual, as far as Craftsman is concerned, didn't go bankrupt. They ended up getting bought out by Stanley Black & Decker. Sears has, after that buyout, Sears still has like 20 years of exclusive, or of being able to use Craftsman like they had. Then after that, we'll really see what happens. But I don't know if Lowe's, if like something like this breaks, if they'll give you another Craftsman ratchet off the shelf. I'll make a video when I discover that. The finish is this kind of crude. They kind of just forge it out, a little machining there, drill a couple holes, do their undercut. You can see the whole bottom of the ratchet. If I can just get the right angle, you can see the machining marks where they just, went across it with the face mill. These were, they were American made, but they were kind of quick and simple. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.